Welcome to the Voice on Demand podcast by the MECSR, the voice of the shopping centers and retailers in the MENA region. Hello, a lovely day without traffic in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. This is Justin Espiritu again from MECSR. I'm here today with Ritesh Mohan. He is a retail professional with 2 decades of experience, founder, writer of retailritesh.com. Hi Ritesh, how are you doing today?
Hi, Justin. Good evening. It has been a great pleasure meeting you all in your office today. It's amazing that I am here talking and sharing my views and wisdom on retail management.
It's our pleasure. Now, for those that may be curious, I know Ritesh for quite a while back. He has been a very strong supporter of retail in the Middle East. He's an avid writer of his blog, retailritesh.com, where he shares his knowledge and experience. Today, Ritesh will share with us his new article, Either Reinvent Your Brand or Perish. Now, perish is quite a strong word. Can you share with us your thought on this? Why does retail need reinvented? Is that really necessary?
Definitely, Justin, just to answer you why this title, Reinvent or Perish. As you rightly said, perish is a very strong word. You have come across, or we all come across, a word called retail apocalypse. When we go through our newspaper, business magazines, we see so many brands, popular brands closing down, shutting down their stores, getting into or filing for bankruptcies. I will not like to name the brand, but every week we come across the old retail giant brands filing for bankruptcies and shutting down, close. So why is this happening? It's happening because the brands are not adapting themselves to the changing environment. We all know the customer perceptions, the customer buying behaviors, customer shopping patterns, everything has gone 360 degrees sort of a revolution. Today, it's more driven by your mobile device, whether it's your cellular phone or an iPad or a mobile device. So the whole technology today is playing a very important role. If you ask any retail CEO of any retail company, he will say that my sales are affected by e-commerce. E-commerce, if you ask me, is not affecting retail at all. So it's the brand who need to reinvent and embrace technology to their advantage. E-commerce, in fact, offers a huge opportunity for retail brands to grow and make their fortune in the current economic slowdown, which we call the turbulent times. So there are still brands which are growing in terms of 10x growth. It's only the brands which are not able to adapt or embrace new technology. Forgetting the basic of retail management is why are those brands shutting down their stores. So that's why I use the word called perish.
Okay, so you're saying that they need ground experience to actually manage the brand.
Definitely. Knowing your customer, who are they? What are they buying? I'll give you an example if you allow me to quote a brand which is a multinational brand dealing in kids' toys. We all know that brand in the UK has closed down, and why they have closed down. I am not going to the the financial borrowings that they had and obligations they had. The basic thing, they forgot to keep a track on their customer time spent. If you look at the time spent, or rather a consumer of a toy brand, are kids between age 1 to age 5 or maximum age 7. Today, if you have a kid in your home, observe him, the maximum time they spend is playing their PlayStation or on their mobile phones or on some gaming consoles. So, if their main target customer have moved from buying traditional toys to electronic gadgets, you can very well know the market or a brand will definitely suffer. So keeping a close tab on your customer, how they are spending their time, what are the activities they are doing in their free time, is what a brand today has to keep a daily track on. You can't, and you can only do it if you're on ground. If a CEO or if any retail company spends half a day on the floor, he will be able to judge better and make corrections accordingly to his strategies. Second point, which I would like to recommend, is something called cost of goods sold. Now, what is cost of goods sold? It's basically a parameter in a P&L statement, profit and loss statement of a brand. In when the times are tough, the only way that we can overcome the tough times is to reinvent ourselves. And I strongly believe that crisis is something which really makes us stronger and adapt to new learning methodologies. COGS or cost of goods sold is a component which tells you about your landed cost of a particular merchandise. In the tough time when your merchandise is not selling because of the slow demand, or instead of going into the promotions and eroding your brand equity and a bottom line of your P&L, look at avenues where you can cut down your cost of purchase. Maybe an item which you are buying, if you can procure it at much cheaper or at a lesser value, you will help your bottom line to grow at least 10 times. So COGS or cost of goods sold is a very important parameter that retailers today has to look into it. One more thing which retailers normally make a mistake when they are faced with a crisis. The first thing they do, or a top management, the CEO says, cut down on my marketing expenses. That's like removing an engine from a locomotive or a train. If you remove your driving engine, you can't move a train on its track. So marketing should be used as an expense. It's unfortunate, as per our accounting procedures or accounting practices, marketing is always placed under an expense header. Rather, if you ask me, there has to be a shift in the paradigm. Marketing should be looked as an investment rather than an expense.
So it's not all about technology investment. It can still be a possibility to be successful, for these brands to be successful, even if they're doing a traditional approach. Can you cite an example of what brands have been successful on pursuing a traditional approach?
Sure. The one brand that comes to my mind is Primark. It's a fashion retailer. It's a publicly listed company. If you look at their last year sales, top line sales, it's 7.1 billion pounds.
Wow, incredible.
So it's a growing brand, and if you look at their annual report, since it's a publicly listed company, this brand has come out and said that it will not go on e-commerce. It will not adapt or sell its merchandise on e-commerce website. It's a very bold statement and a step to make. And the reason Primark has made that statement is they know their customer in and out. They know their customer, how they buy and why they buy and what they buy. So they keep a close tap on it. If you look, their strategy of Primark is more of product driven rather than experiential store driven. Hence, they are focusing more on merchandise. They promise that they will get their customer will get the cheapest and the best quality product at a very affordable prices. One denim jeans in Primark cost you around 12 pounds. So if they work on creating an ecosystem for their digital platforms, the cost or the overhead incurred in creating a digital site or a digital ecosystem, which including the back-end supply chain and all the modules that goes through, all those overheads will fall on their product pricing. Ultimately, it's the consumer who pays for all the overheads. So that they will no longer be in a position to spend or sell a denim jeans for 12 pounds. In order to keep the price benefit to the customer, Primark has made this statement. And it's one of the fastest growing apparel company in the world. Another example, if I have to quote on a different side, a brand, it's a trend which I am seeing or witnessing is lot of e-commerce companies are now opening physical stores, physical brick and mortar stores. One such example is Amazon. They have a concept called Amazon Go. It's a cashierless store. You go inside the store, tap your phone, and pick up any item, merchandise, and just walk out. The amount of the purchase gets debited or comes into your monthly telephone bills. So that's an amazing technology which use technologies like artificial intelligence, camera, face recognition, all those complex softwares are being used. Another example, if you have to give you, is of Alibaba.com. It's a number one Chinese e-commerce company.
Yes, with Jack Ma.
Yes, Jack Ma's. And on 11th November, they celebrate something called a Singles Day. in November 11, 2017, on one single day, their top line sale crossed 27 billion USD
27 billion. That's amazing.
on a single day. Now, what do they do? As a technology company, they Jack Ma or Alibaba.com, they have identified their core strength is in supply chain. Their core strength lies in software programming. Hence, they have taken a move to come into a physical store by adopting 100,000 small grocery shops all over China. What they do, they provided all this 100,000 stores a tablet which has a software wherein a shopkeeper can order merchandise at a very economical price. Earlier, that same shop owner used to buy from a local market, say for example a grocery. He was buying in a very limited quantities, and as a result the prices used to be at higher value to the shopkeeper, which we call it at cost of goods sold was much higher. So by using technology, Jack Ma has provided this 100,000 people an opportunity to take advantage of centralized procurement of Alibaba.com. Alibaba today procures item from all over the world at a very economical prices. Hence, this price benefit is passed on to 100,000 small shop owners, and it has given the reach. The here it's like a win-win situation. Shop owner gets better margin to their merchandise which they sell. Jack Ma or Alibaba.com has an advantage. Tomorrow, if they want to launch a new technological product, they already have a distribution strength of 100,000 shops at one click. So tomorrow, if Alibaba.com decides to launch something like a Google Assistant sort of a gadget, on a single stroke of a button, they have 100,000 shops selling that item. So that's the advantage wherein e-commerce and your physical brick and mortar concept has converged, and what we call as omni-channel retailing.
Wow, wow, wow. That is incredible, Ritesh. You have discussed about COGS marketing, and you have taught me that traditional approaches can still be applied, and it is how you manage it. Marketing is the lifeblood of retail, but as you said, we should not leave out the possibility of considering technology investment as well. Do you think this will reshape the entire retail industry? How can we prepare for this? And what would be our first steps towards safety of this case of scenario?
See, when it comes to adopting any technology, there is a saying: the maximum resistance that you face is towards change. But there is also a statement that change is the only constant thing in the world. So when the environment or the economic scenario changes, the first implication or the first effect is been felt by the retail sector. Either if it's in a the booming economy, more money comes into the people's hand, they spend. When it comes the downturn economy, people try to hold back on their purchases. So it's an retail industry is like a mirror to the whole economy of a particular country, or a that's how the retail economics works. It's ultimately supply and demand channel that works. Now coming to how most one important point is how malls or landlords or mall owners could take benefit of technology. As I mentioned earlier, it's not only the brands who have to reinvent, it's also the landlords, the mall owners needs to reinvent the traditional form of retailing. As you see, as a part of retail apocalypse, lot of stores are being shut, but there is also a venue of growth. Today, if you look at the economic pattern, husband and wife all both work. So we have a something called, which I call it like double income no kid generation, DINK, double income no kids. So the people today have disposable income in their hands. So what they do, they go for convenience, and the convenience is nobody likes to cook. So what they do, they just place an order on Zomato and Talabat, and get the food delivered at their home. But another opportunity in physical retail is creating a fine dining experiences in the mall. Yes, we apart from food court for or cafeterias or coffee shops, look at creating a fine dining experiences where the people who have disposable income in their hand can come, spend time, and enjoy their food.
And
So
will actually bring footfall to the mall.
yes, and I would like to quote here that food is the new trend. If malls can tap this new trend, which is food, it's going to be beneficial for them. Second way which I feel the malls has to reinvent is to forget the traditional way of agreements or lease agreements. They should look at generating new sources of revenue. One of the new sources of revenue which I would recommend is something like footfall driven revenue. If you are a shop owner in a mall and and you go to a particular mall and say I have a shop and I'm a tenant in your mall, and I will pay you, instead of paying a rent, I will, if you promise me that you are going to drive 10,000 customer into my store per month, I'm ready to pay you a fees per person that you drive into my store. That X figure percent, whatever the amount can be mutually agreed by the between the mall owner
Mall owners and the
and
tenants.
tenants. Exactly. So it generates a new source of revenue for the mall. Another new source the malls should look at into it, and have started looking at into it, is they have made their parking lot chargeable. So that's another way of generating revenues when the malls, the shops are not fully leased out, so that they can earn from there. There's another trend that's coming in Western, or it's been witnessed in Western world, is the lot of malls are converting their empty shops into co-working spaces. They are creating incubators for startup. We know in UAE, especially in Dubai, we have a lot of emphasis from the government for the startup. They said that in coming economy, if we have to grow startups, companies will play an important role. Suppose now mall owners create their own incubation programs for the startups by providing them the spaces where the startups can operate. And if tomorrow that startup becomes successful and become a unicorn, which is $1 billion industry, mall owner can get a percentage of it. So that's another source of revenue which I feel is beneficial for the landlords. So ultimately, what I would like to say is, market is never good. It's all, market is always, as a constant, is always good. It's how we look at a problem. If you can blame you can always blame the external environment, that is not favorable for my business, is not, I'm not doing good, all those, but the actual problem lies within. So it's always good for retail companies, for landlord, to do self introspection as to which are the weak areas and how they can need to work on it and make it their strength.
Certainly, it's always falls under who is responsible. And you know, it's not all about the market. We always have to make measures that regardless of what is happening around us, we have to be able to adapt, and we have to be able to maintain a good position. We owe it to our stakeholders that we need to be able to maintain and even grow our brands and our retails.
Absolutely, Justin. I would call it like an always positive attitude is what matters. If you have a positive mindset, the even biggest problem can be solved. There is nothing that cannot be, that's impossible. In fact, the word itself is called I am possible.
Exactly.
So definitely positive attitude is required in solving any issues, and always keep the positivity in mind in your business. It really helps.
Thank you very much for sharing all those concepts, Ritesh. I am sure that our listeners have learned a lot, and for sure these concepts have certainly left an impression and gave them something to think about.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you for having me. It was pleasure sharing my wisdom and knowledge with my listeners of Middle East Council of Shopping Centers, and it's a great initiative that you guys are doing. I wish you all the best and congratulations once again.